Pregame.com.
Pregame.tv breaking down Monday Night Football action. I am here with the Vegas runner, Brady Kannon. Fire the Cannon famed plays. 2011 Super Contest winner, Vegas runner, 2013 Super Contest winner, hopefully. Let's start with Brady. What do you think about this game?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown from last Monday night, you know, with the Panthers and the Patriots. We get the San Francisco 49ers, a nice glamour team, a team I grew up with, going into Washington, D.C. The Redskins have been pretty disappointing this year. Bad defense, but I think this is a good spot for Washington. They've lost a couple games in a row now, and one to Minnesota, and then most recently to Philadelphia. And the Niners are also coming off of 2 losses. Brutal games for the Niners in Carolina and New Orleans. I think this one could be a good one for the Redskins. What do you guys think?
A few weeks ago, we did power ratings.
Yeah.
And I was arguing this San Fran team is phony. Don't adjust your power ratings for the guys coming back. Don't tell me they're a top 3 team. Don't even tell me they're a top 5 team.
Well, they're not back yet.
Because here's what they've done. Here's what they've done. They beat St. Louis, Houston, Arizona, Tennessee, Jacksonville.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and Green Bay in week 1 where they covered the spread by 1. They lost to Seattle, Indy, Carolina, and New Orleans. 2 of those 4 games in San Fran. If you're one of the best teams in football, you don't lose all 4 of your games to top-level opposition, number 1.
You split.
You look at Kaepernick. Here's teams with a higher quarterback rating than Kaepernick. Seattle, Denver, New England. That's obvious. Philly, Carolina, Cincy, Pittsburgh, New England, Chicago, Dallas, Tennessee, Detroit, San Diego, Indianapolis, St. Louis,
the Rams,
Houston, Atlanta. Oh, yeah, Tampa Bay, Miami, Washington, and KC. They're within like a 1 quarterback rating of Kaepernick.
Well, how about
That's how
this?
the best after the Green Bay game, they were hailing him as a
many-
Hall of Famer. They were already making the sculpture.
You know, it is the total sophomore slump. And to be honest with you, just as we saw Cam Newton do in his second year and now what he's doing this year, I would expect next year you go put money on the Niners because I think Kaepernick will be back. But he is completely having the sophomore slump. In 8 of his 10 starts this year, he's thrown for under 200 yards.
Vernon Davis has been nicked up, and he doesn't have Crabtree, so he doesn't have his guys.
And he hasn't been running the ball. You know, and I think that's part of the problem.
What about the defense? This team's known for defense. Where is it?
Too much driving under the influence.
I don't think
too many substance abuse problems.
I don't think their defense has been too bad. They played a heck of a game last week in New Orleans, and you know, really could have won that game very easily. A couple late calls, a couple things that went New Orleans' way.
They went and choke slam Breeze. That wasn't a very smart play.
Right. But you know what I'm saying is, and that goes into my handicap of this game on Monday night as well. I think the Niners. They got shocked by the Panthers at home, and they were probably looking ahead to the Saints game. They knew that that was the biggest game on their schedule this year. They gave their max effort. I think that is one of the maximum performances you're going to see out of this San Francisco team all year.
And now you got to travel to Washington.
Now they got to go back east again. They're laying points on the road. They're looking past this opponent because they got to go back home and go in division again against a Rams team that gives them trouble. And they're figuring, hey, this Washington team, they have no defense, but we know Shanahan's record as an underdog at home. This is not a good spot for San Francisco. I think they're going to have sea legs from that effort in New Orleans. It's going to be a tough game.
Not so fast, my friend, with line value here. San Fran is, what, a 5-point favorite? It may even go up once the public gets involved. Detroit went into Washington. They were a 1-point underdog. If I look at Detroit and I look at San Fran, I really don't think San Fran's much better on a neutral field than Detroit. On a neutral field, what are they? What would they be, 1 at the most?
I have San Fran. I have San Fran as like a 6.5 power rating, and I got Detroit at like a 2.5. So I got them 4 points better.
Do you really?
I really do.
I think
really do.
Detroit's
My power rating has
better.
been spun, but believe me, if there's a driving rainstorm, you better double check that power rating. Ask Pittsburgh about that. Brady, you want to make this one official? Let's do it.
Okay, we're taking a look at Monday Night Football this week. The San Francisco 49ers go back out east again, this time to Washington to face the Redskins. They're laying 5.5 points, and I don't think it's a good spot for San Francisco. Now, this is a glamorous team, one of the better teams in the NFL for sure, but they're coming off 2 straight games, very physical games against very tough teams in Carolina and the New Orleans Saints. I think they maxed out their effort against the Saints. They gave it everything they had, and I think that's one of the better performances you're going to see out of San Francisco Francisco this season. Now they have to go out on the road again to Washington, and they're not really giving this team a whole lot of respect. After all, Washington is not that great. But let's look at who the Washington team practices against in practice all week. That defense plays against a quarterback that is very similar in a running game. Alfred Morris, Frank Gore, RG3, Colin Kaepernick. They're used to playing against this type of thing in practice. Now, Mike Shanahan's record as an underdog, 5-1 against the spread on Monday nights, and when he's a losing team, he's 16-2-2 against the spread after 2 straight losses. So I think Shanahan is going to get his troops ready for the Monday Night Lights, ready to bounce back, where you're catching a San Francisco team that is not really interested in this game, and they're off a couple of really tough games with the Panthers and the Saints. I'm going with the Redskins plus 5.5. So we're going with the Redskins. Could be a little bit of a smelly underdog here, but I think they can stay within 5.5. Another point to look at here, the public is all over the 49ers right now. 85% of the tickets right now are being written on San Francisco, and I think they are reacting to this team being glamorous versus the Redskins being pretty stinky.
Brady, my only concern is you talk about how good the Redskins are off of 2 losses, but Harbaugh has been great himself off of a loss. VR, you think that those factors wash?
Yeah, I think it washes, but more importantly, I don't think this is the same San Fran team that Harbaugh's been able to do that with.
Right.
You know? And where with Shanahan, I think he's been able to do it with a lot less.
He seems to do it with mirrors.
Exactly.
When he's got the losing team, he gets some
them
value
up
out of
when
the
it
line.
matters. Yeah.
And San Francisco coming off of a loss, that was
And
supposed to
let's not
happen
forget,
last week, right? That was, and you got a great effort out of them.
Washington plays pretty good at home. They won their last 2 there. This is the first time they come back. I mean, they played 3 of their last 4 games on the road. You know, and the only game they played at home during that stretch was a winning game against San Diego.
Right.
So for me, I think this is a live dog. I really do. I think this has sprinkle written all over it. I would not be surprised at all if San Fran gets the straight up loss here. I really don't.
I wouldn't either.
I could see Washington. I could just picture it now. The celebration in that stadium. I could see it going over. Them just lighting it up. RG3 just going off. And this team winning the game.
I wouldn't be surprised by an under the total.
Really?
Either, because San Francisco, their offense has sputtered. We talked about Kaepernick and his sophomore slump.
Worse than passing yards, 32nd.
The 49ers, their last 2 games against the Saints and Panthers have totaled under 200 yards of total offense.
And in practice, they both practice against mobile quarterbacks, so they know how to contain them. So that might be a good call. Might get some crap weather, too, on top of it.
Yeah,
so
it's very possible.
I think that's a good call. Sprinkle a little bit. You know, I love watching RG3. I hope he gets to 100%. I love the way he escapes, just like in Die Hard 2 when McClane is in that cockpit of the plane and they throw the 9 grenades. How many grenades you got? 9? Use them! And he throws them out and he goes ahead and hits the eject button right as the grenades are about to go off. If you haven't seen Die Hard 2, I've pretty much given the movie away. Don't bother now. But it's been a great time breaking down action here, football action, pregame.tv. We are the B team. We went 3-1 last week. We're going for 4-0 this week. However, the A team comes on tomorrow. Marco D'Angelo, senior handicapper, the one, the only Ken Thompson, and of course, Brian Leonard, footballwinners.com and pregame.com. Stay with us, pregame.tv.